There was actually a survey of students in the first year of this process, because there's an old wives' tale that freshmen would go home for Labor Day and not come back. And we surveyed both first-year students and seniors on their understanding of how that dynamic would work, and that was not what the students at that point in time were thinking. Let's see, in the fall, Wednesday, Labor Day, commencement is now going to be at the end of finals rather than the weekend before finals. Right, that way you don't go through commencement, have your parents and folks here, and then you stay for a week doing tests, and then have people come back and help you load all your stuff up, right? It's lined up correctly. That's the fall semester. Oh, the Wednesday, there's a little nuance. The Wednesday that classes start on pretends like it's a Monday. So we have enough Mondays in the semester, right? Because we have Labor Day off, we lose a Monday, so I have to create a Monday. And so the very first day of classes, which is a Wednesday in the week, pretends like it's a Monday. We'll get used to it once we do it. So in the spring, it's set up exactly the same way. We already start classes on a Wednesday, so that doesn't change, except it will now pretend like it's a Monday. Martin Luther King Day will stay operationally just the way we currently do it, but it will no longer technically be a class day as an instructional day, but all the programming will stay in place. Students will be expected, core students and everybody else who is expected to be there will be there, but we won't have faculty pulling their hair out because classes got canceled on them. It's a mental stressor for faculty that we're fixing. Spring break is still 2 weeks for the time being. That's really bad, but we can have that conversation later. Classes then end on a Friday like they do in the fall. We no longer will have finals week in the spring straddling 2 weeks, right? Starting on a Wednesday. There won't be a Wednesday reading day, finals on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, take Sunday off, finals on Monday and Tuesday, and then all the seniors sit here and twiddle their thumbs for 4 days until commencement, right? It'll all be put in a single week, just like the fall semester. And then commencement will be at the end of finals, just like it is now. That actually creates an extra Thursday of classes in the spring. And so now there's a committee out there that's investigating what we could do on a Thursday if we didn't have classes.
What do you mean by what we could do on a Thursday?
Well, the running sense of where the committee is leaning is to have something like a robust full day of what we currently do with the celebration. It's not called the Celebration of Undergraduate Research anymore. It's the SOURCE, where we have student presentations, student posters. We could do that. The music students could do their senior recitals. We could have the directors, student directors doing clips out of their plays, out of their productions. The senior engineering design students could have a design expo that day. So sort of this whole day where we currently are cramming things sort of all over the calendar, we can just put it all on a day. And we could not have classes so everybody could be doing all of these things that day. Going to your friends' shows or their displays, because you're free to do that stuff.
Have you guys thought about doing senior seminars that day with different majors? I know a lot of times they do like big presentations for their research.
That would certainly be in this mix.
Okay.
Yeah. And and again, it depends sort of on the scheduling of that. The other big piece of the calendar is that there's a requirement that there be at least 3 calendar weeks between commencement in the fall, the end of finals, and the beginning of classes in the spring. What happens sometimes in the current model is that there's only a 2-week gap, and one of those weeks the university is closed. So that means all of the academic actions that have to happen basically have to turn around real fast. And in a bad year, what's called the Grinch year, finals grades in the fall don't come in until like the 22nd, 23rd of December. The registrar's office is processing grades on Christmas Eve. Everybody's gone for a week to 10 days. They come back on the 3rd, and the professional colleges in particular are dealing with academic actions, probations, and suspensions. Students are coming back on the weekend, so you're finding out the day before classes that you've been suspended out of your college. Right? The current sort of 2-week model with a week closed doesn't effectively give us time to deal with anything between the 2 semesters. So the new calendar requires that there be a 3-week break in there. And that's everything. Question?
For the 2-week spring break, is that still an ongoing conversation, or has that pretty much settled on keeping it 2 weeks?
The Faculty Senate had a robust conversation at its April meeting over that. And at that meeting, one of the things they were trying to determine was if we had a 1-week spring break and a study away trip required 9 days, how do we extend that break, right, for those 2 or 3 extra days? And it turns out in the faculty handbook, there's no mechanism for requiring faculty to approve absences for academic purposes. They have to approve absences for athletic events. They may choose to approve absences for academic purposes. And so they started down this road of trying to write language to make that work in real time. And well, you just can't. You guys would know you can't function that way, right? You can't write policy sort of in real time in the middle of a meeting. So they were trying to figure a way to get this to work. And then they eventually voted to keep the 2-week spring break on a sort of split vote. It was about a 2-to-1 margin, which sounds impressive. But not to give the secrets away, because we did more surveys. There are a couple of professional colleges who feel very, very strongly about the 2-week spring breaks, and everybody else is pretty ambivalent about it. So what we have is a strong minority driving that conversation. And given all of that, the president asked the Faculty Senate to continue their conversation. Yes?
Is the importance of having the Wednesdays at the beginning of the semester act as a Monday just for the classes that are only on Mondays, like 3-hour courses? Or are there other reasons?
Well, all of our Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes need to have 42 instructional periods, okay, plus finals. And the only way we can get to 42 is if I have a Monday that works like a Wednesday. And I know this sounds strange, but things like labs only meet on a Monday, and so you got to get the right number of labs. It just, to make the numbers work, you got to do it. Okay, I have one other sort of then reporting thing. So what you guys were doing at the university council meeting was not voting on any of the stuff I just described. That's all determined by the Faculty Senate and the President's Council. And it's done, settled. Yes?
Are you referring to the University Council meeting last semester?
A month or so ago?
So this semester?
Yeah.
Okay.
where 2 calendars got presented to you to
Okay.
vote on. One was the academic year 19 calendar, which is under the current system, and that's already generally been published, and I heard that the University Council approved it. And then the next one was the academic year 2020 calendar, which is under this new model that I just described. Okay?
Okay. Real quick, who's in university? Do you guys remember?
Well, I thought you all were there.
No,
Actually, send
no.
out a PDF to everyone.
I just don't recall.
Paige, I'll send you a
Oh,
email
really?
with a PDF to attach.
Would you like just to? So then, what was decided by the president then? So what is the difference between the University Council's actions and the Faculty Senate and the president's?
The
actions?
Faculty Senate and the President's Council decide on the parameters of a calendar. And then what the registrar does is assembles a calendar with actual dates
Okay.
for a particular year. And then it's the University Council's job to review that work and agree that it's correct and endorse it.
That it fits the parameters, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The sort of a discussion point at the University Council can be things like, one of the discussions this time I heard was about how many weeks of classes we have after Thanksgiving. Okay? And because of the moving Thanksgiving around, right? And the moving of Christmas in the week, right? These are 2 moving pieces. Sometimes you can have calendars where you only have 1 week of classes plus finals. Sometimes you have 2 weeks of classes plus finals. And in the current model, the end could land anywhere from about the 15th of December all the way up to like December 22. Okay? And so there's a lot of sort of give in there. And the question that the University Council routinely does need to answer is how tight you want to run that window, right? In a Grinch year, Thanksgiving is late, you have 2 weeks of classes, finals, and then right in the new model, you'd have commencement like on the 22nd of December. You know, and either you like that or you don't, and and it moves every year. And so every year someone needs to think through how do we want to handle that mix. Now on the other hand, it's good to run late, maybe, because then all of our Advent programming around campus, you got an extra week. But if you did that every year, then you'd have a lot of people upset about other stuff. So there needs to be a body that sort of looks at that on a year-by-year basis, and that's what the University Council's job is. Yes, sir.
One thing that came up in the University Council meeting was the 1 week of instruction before the finals week. Is that still the same, where it'll just be 1 week, or has that changed?
Well, that will vary by year
Yeah.
because of when Thanksgiving and Christmas will fall. Some years there'll be 1, and some years there will be. That's what we currently do. I mean, that's not really a change in current practice. Anything else you'd like to know? Yes, sir.
Actually, I had a quick question. So last time, the plan of new calendars was presented to Student Senate last year. They talked about how they'd worked to get classes to end in the spring semester earlier.
Yes.
Is that how does the new plan affect the last, when, like, the last classes would be of spring semester? 'Cause
Routinely, it'll be about a week earlier. Now, see, here's where the kicker is. If we insist on always having 2 weeks of classes after Thanksgiving plus finals and a 3-week break at Christmas, right, all of that then automatically pushes the January start back a week. And then we could very well be routinely at about the same place we are now. Okay, this is why these, there's an accordion sort of effect. These things have to slide back and forth. And if you slide one more week this way, then the rest of it slides. You're forced to slide things by a week. But the model gets us done a week earlier, right? That's like the 8th or 10th of May. If we went to a 1-week spring break, we'd be done the first weekend in May, like the 3rd.
But we love the 2-week spring break.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I did an estimate. We have about 3,000 undergraduates. If you work 40 hours a week each at $10 an hour, that's an opportunity cost every year for the student body of about $1.2 million. And for our graduating nursing and engineering students, they're getting paid a lot more than $10 an hour that week on their first job after graduation. It's costing them a lot in opportunity cost. So
The
there's,
experience of the
It's all
service
about
trips.
experience.
we can move, we know how, I could just tell you, we know how to move all of those things to May.
Mhm.
We can do that. We've worked out all the details for that. You'd sign up for a spring semester course, if it's a course. That way the tuition is rolled into your spring semester tuition. The students taking a trip would then take an incomplete at the end of the semester in that course. They would do the trip in 2.5 weeks. They could take a 3-week trip if they wanted. They could take a 4-week trip. So the length of the trip is no longer a constraint. Then they would come back, they'd finish whatever work they need to do and change the incomplete to a grade.
What about non-course affiliated service trips? Would
Well, we
those
could
be
still do
pushed?
that in May.
Those would be in May, not in like.
Well, if you wanted to do it within a week, which almost all of them are now, none of them are actually 2 weeks long. Most of them fit within a week. If you still wanted to use spring break because there was something that had to happen, right? We could, there's still an opportunity for a trip. For that matter, we could take trips over the 3-week Christmas break too. Right? If we got 3 weeks, we could take a service trip from December 26th to, say, January 5th. That's 9 days right there.
So I think the issue is that like students who aren't from this area go on the trips. So it's a lot easier for them to come back here and get spring break housing and then go back into classes than it is for them to like stay later, go on a trip, and then go home for the summer. I think it's like logistically difficult
There
for
are
them, yeah.
lots of things going on, yes.
Mhm.
Also, going off of that, for me, we're currently looking at the China tour for orchestra after school lets out this May. And I have not been able to commit to that yet because I'm looking for an internship and I'm not sure, one, if the internship is going to start while I'm in China and then I'm not going to be able to take the internship because I'm going to be out of the country or not be able to go on the China trip. And then also for China, there might be a national security concern if I'm wanting to work at a place like Boeing or Lockheed
Yeah.
Martin or something like that. So I have to get the internship. I have to secure that before I can commit to the trip.
Yep.
Which is very difficult to do when we're registering for classes right now for the spring semester.
Yes, but there are a lot of people where having a week earlier out in May would enhance their opportunity for getting internships. So all of these issues are legitimate, but there's two sides to the spring break.
Yeah.
It's a week in March that there's nobody on campus, which means it's hard to do campus visits. Right? We have no classes. There's nobody here to see. No faculty, no students. Everything's shut down. We lose a whole week of recruiting for new students.
Well, admissions occur over the summer as well, where there's not really.
It's a
substantial-
different cycle because in March, in that cycle, that's when students are actually thinking about this. Summer's a whole different rhythm for that.
Right.
It's a different population that they're trying to target. So in March, you're still trying to target students who will give you a housing deposit for the following fall. Right? In summer, you're thinking a whole another year out. It's a different audience.
So So I'm gonna ask a question, but I feel like you're definitely gonna be like, oh, that won't work at all. So.
Mind you, I've been thinking about this for 2.5 years now.
Right, yeah. That's why we're glad to have you here. But with the 2 weeks then, considering March, why not start spring break a week earlier?
Because we have to finish the first 7-week classes,
Okay.
right?
Oh,
So spring break starts immediately at the end of the first half of the semester. Fall break, by the way, is right at the end of
Right, the first half.
7, yeah.
Okay.
Yes?
So I know, because last year I was on like university council and some other things, and they were talking about like the Easter break, because a lot of Christian universities normally have that Friday and Monday,
Yeah.
but we don't have that Monday.
Yep.
So is that like still decided not to have that Monday
Correct.
off? Cool. Is there, like, a
Most
reasoning behind
universities
it?
actually don't take Martin Luther King Day off.
But we
That's
have
the
that.
trade-off on the Mondays.
Interesting for us.
Yeah.
Have you considered creating a 9-day spring break that would like fit the 9-day student or spring break class?
There
model
was,
right now?
there was talk about that, yes.
And then you could end.
Yeah, then we'd have to juggle other things in the weeks and the 42 class periods. Right, because we don't have nice, yeah, you have this odd Monday out that you're short now.
Right.
It's harder, in other words. Yes,
So this doesn't have to do with this
I
calendar.
love talking about it. I love to talk to you guys. I'll do this anytime you want me to.
Thank you. I did have some students ask me why we don't have election day off from classes. And I know that's like, we're gonna have to implement that like 8 years from now, because we already have like however many calendars planned. But what are the odds of you all considering that on election years?
Close to 0.
That's what I thought.
Every year is an election year, someplace for something.
Well, I mean like federal
Have it every
elections.
year off.
Like federal elections.
Just have every first Tuesday after the first Monday of November off.
Every first.
Well, federal elections is what they meant.
Yeah, no, we're not going to do that.
Okay.
There's early voting, there's absentee voting, you can actually travel to vote. There's
Right.
Students are not in classes 8 to 5 like faculty or staff.
Well, faculty are a large part of the concern for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is that
actually,
because there's
yeah.
a lot of faculty that have to go and do like the extra.
Talk. Faculty like to talk.
Those darn educated professors.
I mean, mind you, faculty with 9-month appointments don't have any vacation days except for the university holidays. But when we just surveyed the faculty about spring break, 40% of them said they'd take it as a vacation. Even though they don't have any vacation, they use it like a vacation.
So are they technically not?
In compliance with the faculty handbook? Yeah.
So they should be reporting to like office hours or something, or?
Yeah, what they're supposed to be doing during spring break for the students is they're supposed to be catching up with paperwork, doing scholarship work, getting ready for the second half of the semester. It's not supposed to be, oh, I'm going to go skiing in the mountains. That's not what their break is for. And that's what a significant number of them reported that they, not that specifically, but they, but you know, I mean, it's, you know, I've got time off, I'm going to go do something for myself, rather than being engaged in university business. Yes, ma'am.
So technically, we could just go.
Trust me, if I said, oh, it's on TV, that was a bad way to say that.
My grandparents are the only viewers, so.
Honestly.
Okay, I'm sorry. He'll edit it.
So technically, we could just like go hit up our professors' office hours during spring break and expect them to be there? Like they're supposed to be there?
No,
No?
no, because classes aren't in session. And faculty work is fungible.
So they
So-
can work from home?
Right. So like the Monday and Tuesday of Thanksgiving break, faculty are at work, but because their time is fungible, they can take that 16 hours of work and distribute it across that whole week any way they want to distribute it.
Interesting.
Staff aren't allowed to do that. We have to be here on Monday and Tuesday. Faculty have a pretty good life.
Does that expectation also apply to Thanksgiving and the winter break as well, where they're supposed to be working?
For Thanksgiving break, Monday and Tuesday, the university is open.
Right.
And so they have 16 hours worth of work, theoretically, that they're expected to be putting in. They're off, the university is closed on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so those are actually university holidays, and they have those off.
So shouldn't those apply to, if we're making the fall and spring schedules match, shouldn't we give them the same amount of days during the spring break as well?
No, because spring break is not a university holiday. The only people that are off at spring break are technically the students, because we don't have classes. The university is open for business and working the entire 2 weeks. This is also another friction in the system, right? Because staff people look at 2 weeks spring break, and they're going, my faculty colleagues, these faculty over here, get this 2-week holiday in the middle of the year. I don't get it. That's what some staff people will say. I have to work. They get 2 weeks just because. Now, that may or may not be a correct interpretation, and there are many faculty who work really, really hard through that 2 weeks, particularly the ones that take the trips. But it's a very tense thing on a university campus, and having a 2-week spring break exacerbates these kinds of issues and problems.
Has the university considered making any of the spring break a university holiday?
No. University holidays cost money.
It costs money to not function?
Yes.
So the opportunity cost for not functioning is higher than what you earn from not paying
Yes.
people with hourly wages?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes, sir.
You had mentioned there was 2 colleges kind of driving the conversation of the 2 weeks, one for the service trip. Which 2 colleges are those by any chance?
The College of Nursing and Health Professions and the College of Engineering.
And they want it or don't want it?
They want 2 weeks, strongly.
Are there any more questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second? All in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The agenda is approved. Senators' reports. Senator Pimentale.
Hello everybody. So I'm not sure if you guys remember, but in the beginning of the year I mentioned that there would be food. Well, it has turned cold, and when it turns cold I like to eat. So I will be bringing either snacks or dinner next week, and I would really appreciate if you guys give me some suggestions. These can be anything from chili to nachos to, I know my strawberry cheesecake was a big hit last year. This can be brought back. In addition to that report, I've been talking to Karate Club and Mesa, and I plan to meet with those soon. They didn't seem to have any issues with their budget, so that's really good. I've also been talking with the Chinese Student Association and their advisor, and just trying to make sure that everything's going as smoothly as possible. And report.
Thank you. Senators' reports. Senator Zaki.
I do not have a report on any of my liaisons. I just want to quickly say it's obvious we have 3 freshman senators that are not here today. That's because they are rehearsing for their freshman production, which is this upcoming weekend. I encourage you all to get involved. It is the Christ College program for the freshmen or the first-year students that they're all a part of. One of them is actually, I think, in the play. But yeah, so that's this weekend. Tickets are $5. I highly encourage you to get involved and support the 3 senators that are involved in it. So. And
Thank you. Senator Benke.
So just two things. Number one, Waze is having an event tomorrow night where you can get unlimited pizza from places in the area for $5. It's going to be in the library, so you should probably go check that out. It'll be pretty neat. You can vote on the best pizza. And then also, SAI has been doing some music things around campus and doing, I believe they had a concert this past weekend. So they're doing cool things as well. And report.
Senator Himmel.
Hi, so first off, I don't have any liaison reports, but I did want to encourage everyone to go and vote tomorrow. So if you live nearby, go out to your county and vote. It's very important. Also, if you weren't here last week to pick up who your Secret Santa is, I have your Secret Santa for you, so I'm going to bring you the paper. Yeah, I have yours. So, end report.
Senator Cervantes.
Just a report from my liaisons. Love Your Melon has meetings bi-weekly on Mondays. They meet 9:15 in the Hearth in front of founders. And the next meeting is on next Monday. The College of Republicans have meetings as well, bi-weeklies on Mondays at 7 p.m. And their next meeting is on Monday. History Club is having a trouble finding a room in the union, so they don't have meetings by now. They should have a meeting a week before the last of the semester.
Thank you. Any other senators' reports? Seeing none, advisors' reports.
Well, as a follow-up to Senator Immel's report, I have finished shopping for my Secret Santa. So take that as a holiday throwdown. And more.
Thank you, Dean Jenkins. Officer reports, President Winter.
So MLK award nominations are going to be sent out soon. They asked me, I'm on the committee that selects the winners for that, so they asked me to reach out and say, to try to fill that out for either a member of the faculty, staff, or another student. I'm not really sure the details of that, but that'll be in the interview that's sent out in the next week. We're still looking for members for the Educational Policy Committee. We need a certain amount of people from each college. Carlos has that full list, so if you have anyone that you think would be good for that, send their names over to Carlos and I. Yep, Senator.
What days do they meet for that?
It's the first Wednesday of every month at 3:30. Same as CCPC.
Okay, so you can't be on those?
No.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay, that's it.
Thank you, President Winter. For my report, so I sent out an email with the guidelines for the constituency reports that's due Monday, November 29th, I believe. Does anybody have any questions about it? Seeing none. Public Relations Coordinator Bailey.
Hi, everyone. So a week from today is the next meeting, next Monday. I'm having somebody come take headshot photos of all of you. I'm going to use them for the website, the Instagram, and then I'll send them to you so you can use them for your own personal use too. So she's going to be here from 7:15 to 7:30. My suggestion would be if you don't have anything going on before this, please try and come earlier, and then those who do have things going on before this can trickle in at the end. So I'd really appreciate it if you just, I know it kind of stinks that you have to come early and then take your photo and then sit around, but it would be bad if we all came at 7:45 and tried to fit everybody in. End of report.
Thank you. Moving on to committee reports. Finance Committee Chairman Becky.
So we've got a few things I need to rant. So first up, we've got a line item shift request from Karate Club. They would like to move $780 from their instructor fee line into $380 into the regional tournament hotel travel, and $400 into their regional tournament hotel. So for a total of $780. They were able to go to a karate tournament this semester, and it required 8 hours of travel and hotel rooms. Because their instructor has not been able to attend their classes as frequently, they have less need of the instructor fee line item, and several members of the karate club would like to be reimbursed for their previous expenses. Finance vote at 3-0-0.
Is there a motion to discuss?
Motion to open the floor to debate.
Second.
The floor is open. Senator Himmel.
So So last year, when Karate Club was like asking for their budget, they asked for like a very specific amount of money and said that they couldn't be organization without that specific amount of money for the instructor fee. So I just find it troubling that like they could have gone without an instructor for a few classes and still been an organization when they told us that if they didn't get at least this much money, then they would like just not be able to run as an organization. And now they're moving like several dollars from that to somewhere else.
780.
$780. So $780, guys. They asked for a lot, and that's still a lot.
Senator Hollis.
I just like to say that they have been extremely persistent in trying to move this budget around, and Senate Finance voted on it now to pass it, just because in the future we'll know when budget season comes along that they don't spend money as much as they said they would.
Senator Beck.
I just looked it up. They requested $5,500 and got all $5,500 for this line item.
Senator Steinheiser.
So I would just like to say that Karate Club is a tier 2 organization. If I'm not mistaken, I was their liaison last year, and I remember sitting down with them and doing their budgets, and they said that they needed this money for the insurance for their instructor, or otherwise they could not hold meetings because they didn't have an instructor. Knowing that they could function without an instructor and telling me that as I was making their budget, and then having me advocate for $5,500, first of all, I feel stupid. Second of all, I don't think we should reward that kind of behavior. That's a lot of money, and we cut money from other organizations for this reason.
Senator Walsh.
As I understand, the Karate Club instructor actually had a baby this year, so he hasn't actually been present at all of their meetings. And they also Karate Club hasn't had enough members to go to competition yet. And this year they actually moved to a new location in Cherville, and they actually got a few more members to join. So now that they're actually able to go to competition, that's why they're requesting the shift.
Senator Beck.
To address Senator Steinheiser's concerns, there is $1,000 in a separate line for instructor insurance, so that is not covered by the line that we are currently considering.
Motion to open the floor to Vice President Cabaya.
Is there a
Second.
Senator Walsh, point of clarification. Did you say that they moved to Cherville for practice?
They moved to a new location, which I think is around Cherville. Like on 30 if you go off of Randall.
And they got new members because of moving there?
I'm not really sure about the logistics, but I know that they do have a location shift, and they did get new members this year.
Are all of the members in Karate Club students?
Yes.
Okay. That was it. That was my question. Senator Love.
So they moved far away and they got more students to join. I don't know. I just would like some more clarification on that. It seems a little confusing.
Senator Pimentel.
They have not informed me of those meetings. They, according to their email, and if I can use my electronic book, they're still holding meetings in the union. So I'm quite confused where the location change is.
Senator Walsh.
I think they're meeting on campus, like as a club, but they practice off campus.
Senator Himmel.
So while I think it's great that the instructor had a baby, they also came in here, they spoke to us, they also spoke to Finance Committee last year and said, so as Senator Steinheiser said, they needed this much money for insurance, but they also needed this much money for an instructor. And so the reason they don't have money in other areas is because we weren't going to fully fund them. So we fully funded the 2 items they said they had to be fully funded in order to be an organization. And that's why that much money is going to that, because we were only providing them that much money because they had to have those 2 items specifically.
Senator Brown.
Has anyone from the Finance Committee personally spoke with members of the Karate Club to find out if this was unexpected that they were going to not be spending as much money, or are we just making an assumption that they did that?
Senator Beck.
What they have told me is pretty much in line with what they have written down on this line item shift, and I have not got
To address
pulling the it was
submitted as I consider what they're they want into instead pay for the shuttle transportation and finally dollars on their two for security and 330 cents. Iraq. Showcase it, and then funds for Mike. Last year,
yes. Cetera.
Can we count of how much money, like, tier
$5. Like around 300. Well, this comes in the
So that's where the extra help and why they have extra.
but the $11 question is, so or more than
Mike. Others. To me, it's a micro. The other stuff doesn't.
Plus, Association lines, multiple
It's not exact. So half of this. I'm currently never actually. It will be. I'm not going.
The editor, lighter, two can previous, but Sarah really showed of the and had to so I'll take any Sarah